We played a good game on Saturday. Certainly plenty to improve on, but I liked our offensive balance, especially in the second half. I think the defense played consistently. Special teams, we still have a ways to go. Wasn't our best game special teams wise, but with the nature of the opponent and how we handled it, and quite frankly, the attendance at the game and the kind of day we had, and as an independent and with all that happening in terms of the type of day and the attendance and the crowd and the time of the game, I was pleased with the outcome, and now an intriguing matchup for our last one, which is fun. A chance for us to get our 9th win. So we're playing certainly for that, and then hopefully improving our team and our program against a good opponent. So yeah, any questions that anyone has?
You've talked about wanting to win in-state games. Does that change anything just in that sense?
No, nothing's changed that way. I think any program, not just BYU, but I think any program playing well at home is one of the first things that you have to do. And then playing well in-state is the second thing you have to do. Playing regionally well, I think that's the next thing. And so I think it all just expands outward.
How has the Utah State rivalry kind of evolved since you've been here at BYU?
Yeah, I'm not sure it has evolved in terms of the nature of the game, other than I think just Utah State has improved their program. And so early on when I became the head coach, Utah State wasn't competitive within their league or just really on a yearly basis. And then there's been a significant change to that. And I think that's great for the state of Utah, for the high school prospects and choices, and for the quality of the games that Utah State plays against us and the University of Utah, and in this case, this year Southern Utah as well. So they're a really well coached, a good team, and so I've been impressed.
With the national attention BYU has garnered over the years, and also the success that BYU's had over Utah State in years past, it seems like they'll get up a lot for this game to match that, that intensity that they're going to bring.
Man, I think any time that you focus your emotion only on the opponent or on whom you're playing, man, you run the risk of the real highs and the real lows and not being very consistent. I think one of the things we've done really well over a long time at BYU has been very consistent year in and year out, and winning after winning and bowl game after bowl game, and so I think that what I've learned at BYU is a lot of teams play really hard against us, and I don't know if we're targeted necessarily, but it usually is a big game or an emotional game for a lot of people, and so the best way I know how to handle it is just really focus on us and improving our game and the things we can improve and work on, and almost treat the opponents, no matter whom it is, kind of like nameless, faceless, and it's just us. And so that's allowed me to be more consistent over the years, and I don't see anything really changing in terms of our approach for this week.
Matt Wells gets a bonus if he beats BYU.
Does he?
Utah.
How much?
$5,000.
Dang, is that all? He needs to get a raise for that. I need to help him negotiate that.
Do you get a similar thing?
I don't know. 5,000, crap. If he were a bounty hunter, I wouldn't even go after that target. I'd be waiting to go after someone bigger than that.
Seriously though, you think that shows the emphasis the Aggies
Sure.
put on this game?
Sure, but I also think it's just management. Again, you want to play well at home, and you want to play well within state, and then have it expanded from there. So I think that just reflects that. Maybe not necessarily any more than that in terms of targeting BYU, but well, I guess $5,000 worth.
Are you going to let players drop more plays after the success of the Pack Pass?
I didn't let him drop the last one, but Coach and I did, and I guess as long as it works, I'm good with it. If it doesn't work, we ought to drop a different fake punt, probably. Maybe I ought to get there for that one. Gosh dang.
What do you hear from scouts on Bronson, and how many have been through to kind of look at
There's
him?
been tons through, and Pat Hickman handles all of our NFL players and NFL personnel, and so he could give you really accurate numbers. But it's not necessarily the volume that come through; it's at what position and what titles they have. And there's a lot of attention being garnered, but he could add more quantitative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, quantitative. Yeah, data to that. But I don't remember any more ever coming from what I've seen so far.
Looks like Chucky Keaton could get the start on
Mhm.
Saturday. What have you seen from him throughout his career? What do you
Oh,
bring to mind?
I think he helped build that program, and I have a lot of respect for him. And he's thrown his heart and soul into that program, scrambling and throwing, and bodies flying at him, and he's seen some of the hard things, and he's seen some of the great things, and he's been right at the epicenter of all that. And I think he's a really good player, and he's a good leader, and he ought to be given a ton of credit for what's happened at Utah State. And I think it'd be fitting for him to have the start and have a great chance to play against BYU or and to lead his team in their last home game. So it seems like a pretty fitting ending to me. I'm obviously not the decision maker, but I think I have a lot of respect for him.
Your bowl situation is still tenuous. Have you heard anything from either bowl, or are you in on the discussion?
No, I haven't heard anything, and normally I'm not the one they come to because there's other things I have going right now. They usually communicate with Tom, and so you'd have to talk to him as to what's happening and any communication or possible opponents or any of that. I mean, you know, we have Utah State right now, and I think that's why they do it that way. And the AD communicates, and then selection is whenever it is. I normally don't know until maybe the night before, or hinted the night before what might happen.
Is Mendenhall going to be back with the team?
Not sure. He's still under team discipline, and a lot of it has to do with what happens this week.
Would you say advances in technology have made recruiting easier or just more complicated?
Oh, that's a great question. It's easier to evaluate, it's easier to correspond, it's easier and more efficient, and the process is faster, which then makes it more complicated, more risky, empowers and entitles young people sooner, and ultimately I'm not sure is beneficial. My intent is to try to slow it down, and when I was with the coaches at the board meetings and different things, they all say, yeah, let's slow it down, but how? You know, as I bring that up, and so I like the idea of legislation where there's possibly not being, where you can't contact maybe until the prospect's senior year, and maybe some of these, or that you can't offer a prospect period in any way, shape, or form until that date. And otherwise it's ninth graders, then eighth graders, and decommitting and decommitting and decommitting, and the precedent it sets is really interesting. And I can't say as coaches we're much better. You know, a lot of coaches switch jobs before bowl games and different things, so I would hope that we could be better examples, but there's all kinds of different pressures and unique things, and so, but the culture in general of college football and recruiting is I don't think it's necessarily taking a turn for the positive right now.
Got a few former players and the former coach and Coach Weber that's on the staff of Utah State. Do they give you any frame of reference for familiarity with Utah State?
Well, I think both sides, certainly probably more from us to them, meaning players or coaches that have been within our program that are now there, and vice versa. So I don't know the inner workings of Utah State's program. I don't know terminology. I don't know anything that happens daily behind the scenes. Coach Weber certainly does. Kelly Bills is there now. There might be others that I'm forgetting or not mentioning. Fahu was there for a while.
Reed Hornum was up there.
Yeah, Reed is there. And so those guys they've seen everything about our program and know the motives, know the intent, and know a lot of the operations. That doesn't necessarily mean a win, but it's certainly knowledge, and knowledge is helpful.
You're number one in red zone scoring.
Ooh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I like that number.
95%. To what do you attribute that, do you think?
Well, it certainly is not emphasis from the head coach, because I didn't know. Obviously, Coach and I should get full credit for that. There hasn't been anything we've changed practice structure-wise. There's not anything we're doing from an organizational perspective. It certainly must be just something that he's targeted, worked really hard on within the offensive room. And yeah, probably something I should have known.
It's looking like Tanner Mangum's going to go over 3,000 yards passing on the season at some point. Would you peg that, how it played out?
I was planning on Taysom Hill and Jamal Williams going into the season, and I wouldn't have pegged anything other than I know not to doubt what Tanner's capable of. And he's a very good quarterback, and he's just a true freshman, so pretty amazing.
What have you seen from Utah State? What do you expect?
Spent the morning on Utah State, and man, they're a good team. Schematically, really challenging, both on offense and defense and special teams. So I don't think it's an accident that Utah State has gone to a number of bowls in a row, that they're playing well, and that they're having success. Their coaches are putting them in position to have success, and they have enough good players when put in the right position that they can make plays. So yeah, I've been impressed.
Is it different with independence? You've run into a lot of teams that you haven't seen. Is it different when you're facing a team like a Boise State or a Utah State that you've seen year after year? Is the preparation different in that sense?
Yes and no. Yes, because there might be a point of reference of a player or two from the year before, but no, because each team is different. I'm talking about each BYU team and each Utah State team, and so yeah, there's a starting point that might be similar, but the identities aren't the same as they were a year ago. Hey, that's my ringtone.
Oh, you're.
That way I
It's
look
from that
forward-
short from the Disney thing, yeah.
I look forward to phone calls when I get that. So as the head coach, most of the time I don't like my phone to ring, but you can see how I've combated that.
Yeah.
So I saw you all started to kind of move back and forth. And
Was that planned? You told her to call at this time?
I just sometimes when my bird phones go off here, I just thought it'd be fitting to just return the favor.
Kind of Kuas found the end zone a couple of times. Have you any thoughts to giving him some offensive touches?
Yeah. Not yeah, but yes, he's and there's been times a year ago where he was our backup quarterback. We haven't thought about that this year, but it doesn't mean it couldn't happen.
Coach, there's been a record number of coaching changes in college football. What do you think it says about the direction that this sport's going into, and do you feel like the pressures of being a head coach are amplified in this era?
Yeah, they're amplified because it's more professionalized and more entertainment driven, and that's more like the NFL, which there's really no security, and college is now similar. So you're expected to do more sooner, but for more money, and that's the direction it's gone. And I don't remember since I've been the coach, or since I've been in coaching, this many changes. That doesn't mean there hasn't been, but I think there might be more to come.
Do you have any injury? Did you get through the game on
Yeah,
Saturday?
other than Zane Anderson, a freshman defensive back, he'll be out for the season.
Adam Hine just got limited carries, if any. Is he
Yeah.
just not recovered yet?
He's not 100%, and so basically we're integrating Riley Burt, and until Adam is 100%.
Is there any extra motivation for this week after what happened last year against Utah State and kind of that low point it was last year?
No, there really isn't, and that seems like about 10 years ago. We're trying to get to 9 wins and improve our team, and really anything beyond that, no matter how many times I'm asked, that's just where it is. But no, I really don't think. That just, man, it seems there's been so many games and so many things that have happened since then. It's hard for me even to remember.
As a defensive coach, you know, obviously the defense played really well last week. What do you want the defense to improve on for this upcoming game?
I think to continue to improve. I give them specific things each week, and I think we're gaining ground and we're finding our identity and have through the course of the year. And in almost every game, we've given our team a chance to win. But there are certainly things we can do. Continuing, we started really strong in third down defense, took a dip, and now we're kind of reclaiming that. So I'd like to see third downs continue to improve. And that in and of itself will limit the number of plays and scoring opportunities. So if I had to target one thing right now, I would say continued focus there.
Thanks.
All right.